avioneta acaba de estrellarse en Nueva York contra las conocidas Torres Gemelas.
Buenas tardes, Matías. Se acaba de producir hace escasos minutos una avioneta, parece que se ha estrellado contra una de las Torres Gemelas.
Bueno, y ahora de repente una explosión.
Es que otro avión volando muy bajo.
La otra torre, Ricardo,
¿Cómo es vivir un atentado como el 11 de septiembre en primera persona? ¿Cómo es sobrevivirlo y cómo se trata luego un trauma así? Todo esto nos lo cuenta hoy Mikaila, una chica que trabajaba en la planta 95 de una de las Torres Gemelas en el 2021.
En una zona más baja aún. Dios santo, es otro avión, parece, el que se ha estrellado en la otra torre.
Tenía la duda. Un podcast de Judith Tiral.
Mikaila, thank you for saying yes to the interview. Thank you so much for coming. Also grateful because I think it must be so difficult to talk about it over and over again, or you are used to it and...
Every time I talk about it, it gives me more perspective on how grateful I should be to be here. So even though I still talk about it, I never talk about it in the same way because there's always something more to be grateful for because I'm still here.
How was your life before?
So if you ever heard of the show Sex and the City, that was me. Sex and the City was based on single women, very successful single women who lived in New York City. All we did was work and play. All of my friends and I would go out drinking, we'd go out to dinner, we would have cosmopolitans. Our life was based on work and just hanging out with each other, building friendships and building relationships with the people that we worked with. That was my life.
So, your day-to-day working in the World Trade Center, what was it like? It was like you were there at 9 and...
I was there at 9, went to lunch, whenever I wanted. I had the freedom to do that. And we were encouraged to take breaks. So I would walk outside into the plaza, a lot of tourists, because it was the World Trade Center. People wanted to go to Windows in the World, people wanted to see the downtown area, they wanted to see Wall Street. So I was always surrounded by a lot of people.
In the Twin Towers, did you have like touristic attractions like in the other buildings that people can go up?
Yes, so the Windows in the World was a restaurant and a bar.
I didn't know.
And that was in Tower 1. So not just tourists, my friends and I would go up there and party up there too.
Okay.
But also in the lobby, they had a really beautiful mall. So they had Ann Taylor, they had Barami, they had Banana Republic. So a lot of tourists would go and shop there.
Oh, wow. So it was not only working?
No.
No.
Wow.
How was the day?
So the day was more beautiful than this. The sunrise, it was around, 8 o'clock. The sun was out. It was about 78 degrees. It was so beautiful. I didn't want to go to work that day, but I knew that I had obligations, and when you have obligations, you have to fulfill them. And that's what I did, and that's why I came in so early that day. It was a normal day. I didn't have any issues with the subway. I got there on time. I saw the same people that I would normally see in the morning, the same security guards in the lobby. Just everything was basically as it was.
You were in the first tower or the second?
The second.
And which one was hit first?
The first.
Oh, fuck.
A tragic accident apparently has just happened in New York City.
Believed to be
A plane
Has crashed into the World Trade Center.
Come on, you gotta get out of here! Come on!
So when the first plane hit the first tower, I had just gotten off the phone with my ex-boyfriend. And then I heard the roar of an airplane engine, and then a boom. And then I took my purse and my briefcase, and that's when I ran for the stairs.
In which floor were
95.
you? 95. When you say that you listen to the engine of the plane,
Right.
It has to be so loud, no?
It was very loud. No, really, because planes are so high. They're like at least 14,000 feet or 16,000 feet. For us to hear the plane, it was weird. Like, why would we hear the plane? And you just heard a whistling. You know when a plane takes off, you hear like a whistling, shh, and then boom. And the windows, like here, the windows are from floor to ceiling. That's the window shattered. It shattered.
Like all the windows from...
On my side of the building, because the way the plane came in, the angle, it hit our side. Like the plane didn't hit our building, but the impact, the impact.
And you could see from your window what was happening? Or?
Yes, but I didn't want to look. I just wanted to run. I just wanted to run.
So from the very first moment, you knew it's a plane that has crashed the...
I didn't know. Somebody yelled, a plane just hit Tower 1. So they must have seen something on their side, but I just heard the sound.
So you go running, you say, I have to go out, no?
Yeah, I ran to the stairs and my coworker grabbed me and pulled me into the elevator.
And then the elevator was working?
Yeah, the elevator, because nothing was going on with Tower 2 yet. We were still able to get on the elevator. We went to the 90th floor. So I was on the 95th, we went to the 90th floor, and then one more person came in, and then we descended to the 78th floor. And the 78th floor was where all the elevators were. So we had I don't know how many elevators, but people were pushing and shoving into the elevator. So when I got into the lobby, my coworker went one way, I went another, and then I saw a coworker go into the elevator, and I just pulled her out. I said, do not go in there, do not go in there. And she said, why? I said, because I think a plane hit the other building, do not go in there. And I pulled her out, and she went home.
How comes that she was trying to
Because they made the announcement that there was nothing wrong with Tower 2. They should go back inside.
They were trying people to keep working after a plane. That's crazy. That's really New York, eh?
Yes. You know what? Exactly. That is New York. That's the way New York was with employees. Nobody really could stop working. You just had to keep working. That's
because the fact that just a plane crashed and you're like, no, your tower is okay. It's crazy. It goes beyond me, eh?
Yeah. And when I first started working there, my mom said they're twin towers for a reason. If one happens to Tower 1, it's going to happen to Tower 2.
Did she say that?
She said that.
So when you are in the lobby, were you thinking about something, or you were just
I called
my
manager at home because she was working from home that day. And I said, Joni, I think a plane just hit Tower 1. Should I go back in? And she turned on the TV and she said, no, absolutely not. Go home. Go home. So I walked out to the end of the lobby, and as I was walking out, the second plane came in. And I took one of the last elevators down before the second plane hit. And the second plane, I worked on the 95th floor, the second plane hit the 78th to the 85th floor, right below my floor.
It's really a miracle that you are with us today. That is crazy. And when you're in the lobby, you call your boss and then you just start running far away?
No. I think I went into shock. So my coworker Andrew was with me, and all we saw were police officers, firefighters, fire engines, cop cars, EMS, like ambulances, and the papers from the crash, computers, files, everything was like raining. It was raining ashes and just a lot of papers, and people started screaming from up above, and that's when they started jumping.
So Andrew took you?
So we walked to the end of, pretty much like the end of New York, which is the South Street Seaport. We went there. None of us had service because a cell phone tower was in the World Trade Center. That's why there was no cell phone service in New York.
Allah, I didn't know.
Yeah,
so nobody have phone service?
No, so people were waiting online for a payphone. And I don't know if you remember the Palm Pilot. A Palm Pilot is like a Burberry. And I had that on me, and I was able to email my ex-boyfriend and say, I'm okay.
Oh,
and so he called my dad. I couldn't get in touch with my brother. My mom was working 5 blocks away. So she saw the first plane, she saw the second plane.
She must have been so
She collapsed. She didn't know if I was dead or alive. So we walked from the South Street Seaport. It was the end of New York City. 35 blocks to 35th Street. He got the ferry and I got a cab.
So you sit down in the cab. What do you say? It's like, I don't know.
Yeah.
It's hard to understand from,
Well, whenever I tell this part of the story, people seem to think it might have been an angel because nobody else saw the cab. My coworker Andrew said there's a cab there, but everybody else was trying to get cabs. They were screaming, they were trying to jump on cars. Meanwhile, this cab was sitting right there, and he said, "Get it." So I got in the car, and he said, hello, my dear, how are you today?
What?
And I was like, what are you talking about? I said, did you see what's going on? I said, just take me home. I said, take me to my mother's house, because that's what I wanted to be with my mom. So he got, he started driving me, and I didn't have any money. He drove me there and for free.
Wow.
Yeah.
But what? And he was like nothing.
Just happy, like, and then he said the last thing he said to me was, believe in our Father. He'll be there for you. Yeah. And at that time, I knew that some of my friends died. I knew that when the tower collapsed, my friends had died. So I didn't want to hear about God. I didn't want to hear about anything, because I didn't believe in it anymore. I didn't believe that that only evil was in New York that day. That's how I felt.
And that night, how was it the first night? How do you sleep?
So I was there, and people knew that my mom's number was an emergency contact number. So families of the people who were missing were calling me. Have you seen my daughter? Another person said, have you seen my son? I haven't heard from him. That is hard. That was hard for me, because in my heart I knew that they were not going to be found.
I guess you have been working a lot on this. Like, how can you talk about it?
The way that I go about talking about this, I talk about it as if I'm a third person, where it's actually not me. I'm talking about someone who went through this, because if I talk about it from a first person perspective, I'll cry and I'll have a breakdown, and then we'll have to shut off the video. And then I have to go down and get some tea. And so I talk about it as if that was me back then. This is not me now.
How was it in New York the day after? Like, what was people talking about? Did they know about the terrorists?
It was all over the news. They were still trying to figure out why that happened. I remember watching the news, but I was so shocked that I didn't know. But I went into the shower, and when I came out, I coughed and there was blood. So I made an appointment with the doctor. I walked there because he was close by. He's checking me out, and he said, why are you here? And I said, I'm coughing up blood. And he asked if I smoked. I said, no, I was in the World Trade Center yesterday. And he stepped back and he said, oh my God. He said, let me get some x-rays. And he said, there's nothing we can do. You're gonna have to just cough it up. You're just gonna have to cough it up. So I was coughing up blood for like 2 weeks.
Wow. Of everything that you breathed that day.
They couldn't do anything. They couldn't do it. They just had me just stay where I was. And
the first days because I guess after this, you had post-traumatic syndrome, no? Stress
I still
disorder.
do. Yeah, I mean, there is a part of me that still has post-traumatic stress disorder, because when if I'm by Chinatown or down by Wall Street and I see a place that I used to eat, it's like, oh, gosh, yeah. In the first year, I was transferred to Florida, but the company, because I had to handle disaster recovery, because my team, all of the people on the team died, so I had to go to Florida.
All of them?
Yeah, so I had to go to Florida, go to the office there, and they were on the first floor, and I was so happy. The building had 30, I forgot how many floors it had, but we were on the ground floor, and I was so happy.
Oh.
Yeah.
Is that something that you keep thinking, or not anymore?
No, that was only after the first year, because I was like, if I come back to New York, if I'm in a hotel like this, what am I going to be afraid for the rest of my life? I can't. I can't.
Do you usually go to, I see that there's this group of victims, I don't know how to say in English.
Yes, victims.
Survivors.
Right.
Do you belong to a group of that? Or
Yes,
you prefer not to?
No, I don't belong to any therapy groups or anything like that. I do belong to 9/11 Health Program, because they provide health care for people who have respiratory issues, like in the lungs or reproductive. So they've helped me with that.
Oh, and can I ask, what do they do? In the groups,
they provide therapy for just survivors, for first responders, for firefighters. Yeah,
because I guess people, they still have trauma and no?
Yeah.
How do you manage to cope with?
Yeah, I think people handle stress and trauma more than others and less than others. For some reason, I've been able to separate myself from a lot of that. That's why I don't go to those groups, because I feel like I'm okay, you know, with the friends that I have, with the family that I have that support.
Some years ago, a traumatic event for me, and what it was good for me, my English. What was good for me was just to like stay away.
Yes.
And that's with my friends, my family, and all the people that had to be with around that. I didn't want to know anything.
Yes. Sometimes that's easy. That's better for us. Some people, it's easier for them to be in it, to talk to people about it. Some people can manage this on their own, or just with the closest people to them.
Did you have nightmares? Or
yes. So the one nightmare that I had up until maybe 8 years ago was I had a nightmare that I did not survive and the people who died did survive.
Wow.
In the building, I had a nightmare that I was in the building and I was tied to a chair. And I saw all of the people who died, they were able to leave the building, and I burned to death.
Wow. You used to have that too?
No. No. It actually, when I started writing the book, the nightmares stopped because I was able to release a lot of the trauma in my writing.
You know, 2 years ago, I did a documentary about a survivor from Holocaust.
Oh my gosh.
She was 100 years old, and she invited me to her house. She was super nice. And she was like, you will have love for her, because she was like, I don't have like she didn't hate Germans at all. Like she forgave everything. She was feeling sometimes like I think that she was feeling like bad that she survived and her family
Survivor
or
guilt.
friends didn't.
It's called survivor's guilt.
It's a normal thing.
It's a normal thing.
I didn't know.
Yeah. Anybody, like if you're in a car accident and you survive and the driver dies, they say, well, why wasn't I driving? There's a survivor's guilt goes, you know, a lot, like many ways with many people in many situations.
Have you been judgmental with your own?
I have. Oh yeah, for years. But then I realized we all have purpose. And if that was their time to go, there's something more that I was meant to do here. If I keep thinking, well, I should have died, then why even get up in the morning?
And when all of this happened, did you feel like the country was taking care of you? Or do you feel like they did something wrong or not?
My dad was so angry at the people. I don't know if he was mad at the terrorists or the whole religion, because it was his daughter. And I never felt that way. I never felt a hatred towards an ethnic group. I was actually mad at the people who decided to kill my friends.
So you didn't feel hate to generalize?
No, I never did. I never ever did, because I didn't know exactly who they were. I didn't know them. I just knew that I'd have to go on knowing that the people who I just saw were gone like that.
The last question I'm going to ask is a question that I ask everybody.
Sure.
I always ask, if you had yourself when you were a kid in front of you, you know, like when you were like 8 or...
Okay.
And you could give yourself a life lesson, something that you learn and it's going to help you. Or
yes.
What would you say to your younger version?
That you are going to accomplish many things in life, and if you let people determine what you do, how you think, and what you say, you're not living.
Thank you so much, Mikaila.
Very
Thank you
welcome.
so much for coming. But I really appreciate it so much.
Of course.
Muchas gracias.
No, de nada.
Muy bien.
Suddenly, the world I used to know, I see it differently. You woke me from a dream, now here's reality. Baby, baby,